All right, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Real Producers Beyond the Pages podcast. I am here with Troy Trussell, who's our videographer with Trussell Media, and he will take care of all of your branding videos. He's not going to do your real estate videos or listings, but if you want to look like a consummate professional, then Trussell Media is your go-to. I am joined here with Ryan Phelps of Phelps Tax and Financial, so everyone needs a good numbers nerd in their life, and Chris Greene of Keller Williams Signature Partners. So we're just going to dive right into this. Today's topic is going to be about taxes, Dobermans, CrossFit, real estate, you name it, everything in between. So let's jump in. Ryan, on that note, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you invited this guy on.
Okay, thanks, Sam. I'm a tax practitioner. I own and operate a Plano, and I do a lot of different things. Primarily bookkeeping, payroll, tax prep, business consultations, startups, that sort of thing, and just found a demographic of people that needed help in realtors. And then
that's right.
Somebody sent you to my office.
That's right. Brianna Bernine sent me to you.
I thought, well, this looks like a group of people I need to talk to. So
yes,
it seemed like a really good opportunity, and that's kind of what led me to this point. Chris, I actually met working for a local credit union here. Probably 15 years ago, I would guess.
Yeah, 15.
We were working together here in Wichita and just became fast friends. Just shared a lot of interests, and then I left the credit union to pursue this dream with the tax world about 11 years ago, and I coaxed him away from the credit union to come work for me. So he was doing that.
Oh, I didn't know this. See, this is why we do podcasts. So
right,
this stuff.
Right.
This is awesome.
And this is why he's so valuable too, because he's been in my industry and he worked with me for a couple years there, and then when he was going to get into real estate, I said, well, you're going to be consumed by real estate and you're going to do well. So I'll see you later. Thanks for your service. But told him to go full-fledged after that dream. And so then he's kind of taken the real estate thing and obviously run with it and doing incredibly well for himself. But
that's right.
Still does a little bit to help us around the office when he can. And we're still great friends. And
so you're a numbers nerd too. So.
Yes.
Ryan, real quick, not everyone might know this. So you're generational tax prep, and you're crazy enough that you found another amazing human named Michelle that's also a numbers nerd.
Don't know how I pulled that off.
I did. You married up, sir. No.
I did, 100%. I'm here to tell everybody I did.
We love Michelle.
You're right, we do. And my mom had started this business, in the mid 80s, actually, not the current iteration of it, but she started her practice and had moved it various places and had worked out of our home for a period and then bought that building that we're in now in 1992 and had worked in it until 04 and then had actually sold her practice, and I'll spare you the long story there, but never sold the building in that process. And then when she came to me to come out of the credit union world into the tax world, she said, we can move back into our building and rebrand and make it what you want it to be. So that was when I moved in, rebranded to what you see today, and have taken it and pushed it in the direction that it's going.
And I've even seen the rebranding and the growth and just the changes, the positive changes in the last 3 years, the last 2 years, I suppose.
Yeah, right about the time that you came into my office.
Yeah, that's right. I love that. Okay, awesome. Chris, your turn. Why the heck did you go into real estate? And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, real estate, I think, was really attractive to me for a long time, but the biggest thing that held me back was the security in it. I had a great job at the credit union that I worked with, did personal
benefits,
and auto loans with Ryan, insurance, benefits, retirement, all that kind of thing. And actually had a little push from a previous CEO that just saw the writing on the wall and was like, you know what, this isn't what I want to do long term and be stuck in this situation. And the flexibility of real estate really was appealing. And so left the credit union, worked on getting my license, and started in October of 2015. Had been helping out in the tax office before that, and then the first year there in 2016, first tax season, I worked full-time in there and did real estate. And then as real estate's taken off, I've done less in the tax office, but still help out. And I'm very thankful to Phelps Tax for giving me the opportunity when I needed it and being, so I always want to help out when I can because they've done so much for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. So did you major in finance, taxing, accounting, anything like that? Like how did you, are you just one of those nerds that just is really good in math and all of us wanted to sit next to you in grade school?
Yeah, I always enjoyed math, but my degree's really close in criminal justice. So
you know how to stay out of trouble with finances. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
This is beautiful. Yeah. Okay, very good. I love that. Well, Ryan, let's go back to you a little bit and kind of talk about your industry and the success that you've seen. What does a typical day look like for you?
I'm working less this time of year. It's notoriously slow this time of year. November, December, we're more or less focusing on New Year, planning and things like that, getting all of our systems online, hiring our staff, solidifying processes, because January, it's go time, at least about the third week of January. So IRS is shut down for a period here where they're not accepting tax filings. So it gives us an opportunity to focus more on the business and less on working in the business.
Yeah.
So I always look forward to this time of year to catch our breath a little bit. We're only working 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday, really.
Nice.
So it's a light schedule, and it's just reacting to things as they come, emails, phone calls.
Yep.
I'm doing quite a bit of consultations, actually. People starting businesses, wanting to do S-Corp conversion. For those of you out there that are interested, now's the time.
Yes, that's right. S-Corp will protect realtors
that's
by and large.
exactly right.
Yep, it's a smart way to
there's a
be
lot of
incorporated.
100%.
opportunities there, and so we're doing a lot of that conversion right now, getting our ducks in a row for the new year so that we can take it and run.
That's good. So what are the busy seasons then for you?
January through mid-April's chaos.
Yes.
And then we take a slight break there, usually a week after tax season's over.
Just a week?
Yeah, I know.
That's
And
not enough time.
well, now their business is such that it's stretched out into the off season more than
That's
it ever
right.
has in the past.
I think,
So we're
with
doing
COVID,
more,
right? People are the busy
they're
season's
used
probably
to
longer.
that, and more people in the self-employed space has created more demand for what we do, and so we're trying to accommodate that by working more. And so yeah, we'll still be busy, and then it'll be busy through the summer, and then it kind of dies early fall, and then ramps up again right before the deadline of October 15th, and then it kind of coasts downhill after that. So
Nice.
it kind of has this, rhythm to it. But we're stretching that out. We're still working quite a bit, even in the off season, which didn't used to be the case 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's great though.
yeah,
Those are
it's a good
growing
opportunity,
pains.
good problems.
Okay.
No doubt.
So what are you, I guess, what's the craziest story that comes to mind?
Oh man, I don't even.
with taxes and of course no names you can talk about numbers.
Yeah, I'm not
what's-
going to disparage anybody.
Yeah, no, of course not.
We're
looking more for humorous, not so much
humorous, not
like
scary ones?
embarrassing or if there's a good lesson in something scary, that would work too. Or if you've got one, Chris.
Well,
since you're
Chris
in that.
probably has one that comes to mind that I always hear about, and this isn't really pertaining to necessarily a specific industry, but people that make retirement distributions without considering the consequence. That's usually the conversations that are really scary, because people don't want to ask their accountant if they should take money out of their retirement, because they know that the answer will be
There'll be penalties.
And taxes and what it does. And I mean, I've just seen scenarios where people have distributed money, not consulted us, to pay off a debt, let's say like a home.
Okay.
And I want to pull out of my retirement to pay off my house, and then they succeed, and then they are not prepared for the tax bill and didn't plan for it. And then they mortgage their house to pay their tax bill.
Oh gosh.
And so they've
that's
effectively
just awful.
they've completely compromised their retirement, and now they have a mortgage again, achieving absolutely nothing. And that's more a scary story. So nothing funny about
that's
that.
depressing.
But it is. But that's the kinds of things that, without consulting somebody in my position, can be a really big punitive deal.
Lesson learned: do not pull anything out of retirement.
At least call your guy
At
first or
least,
gal.
yeah.
And-
Yes.
Or you have the guy walk in and go, "Hey, I just won the St. Jude's Dream Home. What's my tax bill going to be?"
That is a good story. That is a good story.
Yeah, no one thinks about that when you win things like that. What
Well,
happens?
and I don't want to out anybody here, but we have a pretty wealthy client that already had money problems, because higher earners and people with high assets tend to pay a lot of tax and
Yes.
need a lot of planning, and then got a call from a financial advisor that said, "Hey, by the way, you're not going to believe this, but so-and-so won this house." And I thought, of all people that doesn't need this house and doesn't need this problem, kind of won. And then we had to help through that process. And
So
ended up
even
saving
tax
him
and penalties
a ton
on top
tax.
of more.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he had to live in it to avoid certain taxable gains, and it was able to do that and sell it at a massive profit.
Good. After you
and
live
not
in it a
eat
certain
a
amount
huge
of time.
tax bill, right? So, and that's having us helped for sure.
Yeah.
Quarterback
There's-
that process.
there's a silver
That's a
lining
great
there.
story. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that.
Awesome.
Okay, that's good to know. Good, and there's always lessons in that.
Oh yeah.
What is your 5-year goal? What's the next 5 years look like for Phelps Tax?
Help
and
more
Financial?
realtors.
Yes, that's true. And here's as I've learned, this we were talking on the elevator ride up. This community is so tight knit, and everyone knows almost everyone. And the more I've been out, and that can be good or bad. Bad if you're a jerk, great
Right.
if you're a good person. But more and more people know you and use your services, and you really are kind of like the financial tax guy to go to for realtors in town. That's what I've learned in the last 40 months.
Thanks,
but
Sam.
it's true. I'm seeing that more and more.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I want to be in that position to help. I think it's a good and bad. It's a two-sided coin here. I think that there's kind of a dearth or a lack of people in my position that do effectively what we do to serve a particular demographic, and realtors are one of those demographics. So
you have to know our industry pretty intimately to know.
You want to, and there's a lot of need for that because I mean everybody knows realtors are all over the place now. There are people pushing into that. They see the appeal of selling and that whole game, and they know they can make money, and so there's more to deal with than there ever has been. And so we have to deal with that. I just lost my train of thought with where I was going with that.
Well, just, I mean, all the realtors that you really have honed this craft.
Yes. What I was going to say.
Realtors.
Yes.
More
thank
so
you.
Than
there's
anyone that's doing blanket.
That's exactly right. There's a particular set of demands they bring, and I think there's a problem that there's not enough people doing what we do to help prepare them for the financial component of what they do. So we can be that resource, which has drawn us more business because there's just a lack of that resource available to people. But it's frustrating for me from the perspective of the realtors that don't have access to resources. I wish there were more people doing what we do to help support the people. Even if that meant less business for me, I would be happier that demographic was represented and supported in a way so they didn't have to search high and low for somebody decent to help them. I wish they had a plethora of choices and then just could find their best fit. So we just do what we do, and because there's so few others doing it effectively, we just tend to get a good bulk of that business. So that's probably where that comes from. So,
for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I personally have been burned by a horrible CPA, not even a CPA, someone that called themselves a CPA, right? And then also, I think after realtors, aren't incorporated, don't have an S corp, and they get that first tax bill, then they pay attention.
Of course.
Then they're like, okay, if someone didn't, proactively teach them beforehand, you pay that first $10,000-$15,000 tax bill on a $75,000 income that year, and you're freaking out. And then you won't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So it's easier to be proactive instead of reactive because, man, that hurts.
I agree 100%. It's better to not have to chase it.
Yeah.
You have to recover from that,
up.
and then you're catching up, and it just takes time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
definitely a horrible thing. What is one, or I guess tell us a little bit about what you're doing with your time outside. I mean, I know that you guys are obsessed with Dobermans and working out as well, but just kind of tell our audience, what else are you and Michelle and the kids and the dogs up to when you're not working?
So we do a few different things. Obviously, fitness is important. Still coach CrossFit at Compelled Fitness on the West Side. Been doing that for a long time. Really enjoy that. That's my early morning commitment. My evening commitment tends to involve kid activities if they've got things going on. Obviously, housework too. We live out in the country, and thanks to Chris, we live out in the country, and so there's a lot of maintenance that goes with that. Big area and a shop and things that just need attention constantly, and so. House improvements, my wife's ideas, let's renovate, let's do this,
all
do
the
that. So
list.
the honeydews are, it's a big list that I'm ever chipping away at.
That's
so,
okay.
I do that. I'm a huge Chiefs fan. Spend a lot of time watching sports. We do have Dobermans, and they're aging. So sadly, they're 12 and 14 now, my two older ones. So they're requiring a little bit more care and attention. And so we're dealing with that. But they're happy and healthy otherwise. And I like entertaining friends. I like cooking. I like mixing cocktails and trying different things and going out and hanging out with friends at bars. And we have a lot of great food here, and we have a lot of great drink places here, and they're constantly popping up. So I like to spend time out trying new things, hanging with my people. That's the majority of it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a full schedule.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
All
you know
right,
how
like
raising Dobermans goes too.
Yes. Yeah. Dobermans are very needy, very time consuming.
Yes.
I have to have a conversation with them every morning before I leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if I get that. Okay. That's gosh, awesome. Okay, Chris, let's talk a little bit about you. You said you got into real estate only in 2015.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your take on the market right now? Like, what are you seeing? I know you've been in it for 7 years now. What are you seeing?
It's interesting. I think, I just did a video on my business page talking about the market, and, we're so driven by what the national media says, but
sickening.
The national media isn't referring to Wichita, Kansas. They're
Not at
talking
all.
about major hubs. They're talking about East Coast, West Coast. They aren't talking about our town here. Yep. And so I think people get misinformation. I know that's a hot topic these days.
It is.
I don't think it's applicable. You can't say what's going on in New York or Phoenix or Austin, Texas.
Applies to yeah,
right.
It
just doesn't. Things are still moving. There's still deals to be had. Talking about misinformation, some of the worst information I've heard lately is don't buy in this market. There is still deals to be had. There's all these different presentations we've had. Dr. Stanley Longhofer.
That's right. He was phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah, the proof is right there in the data. I mean, this is cyclical. Like it really is. And that was his biggest takeaway is do not listen to national media.
Right.
Rewrite the narrative for the Wichita people.
Right.
And that starts with the Wichita agents and the Wichita lenders.
Yeah. They're talking about prices dropping 20%. Well, are prices really dropping or is the appreciation slowing down? It's taking that, spinning that to cause fear, to create clicks and views instead of
that's right,
creating positivity.
They're not sharing the truth.
Yeah.
They're not digging deep enough to share the truth.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you for adding to the truth of the narrative and helping people, because that drives me crazy. And I like to get on my soapbox and talk about all the bad behavior that I'm seeing and wanting people to correct that. And part of this is people just unfortunately listening to media. And I just think you should quit listening to all media. Except podcasts like this. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Heard that.
Then what is, and this can be professionally or personally, but what has a purchase of $100 or less that's been really, that you've made that's been really just profound for you or really helpful, made a big impact?
So this is going to be really random, and it took me a minute to think about it because I'm like, what's under $100 that has provided so much value?
Yes.
And I have an answer for you.
Okay. I can't wait.
A bowling ball.
Oh, we have a bowler. Okay. But bowling balls are actually more expensive than $100 these days. I know because I have a little bowler.
Not 28 years ago.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So, go on. This is interesting.
Got my first bowling ball when I was 11 or 12.
Okay.
Got into bowling. And before that, I was always really shy. I didn't have many friends. Like in the neighborhood, I had a couple kids in the street. But at school, like I was kind of awkward, kind of nerdy, kind of shy. And
crunching numbers all the time. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Some tape right here.
And my pocket protector.
Yes.
But no, after that, like getting into the bowling world has afforded me so much professionally now. My biggest sphere of influence is from the bowling world.
Wow. Wichita is a huge bowling hub, and people don't know that.
100%.
We are a huge bowling hub in Wichita.
Yeah. The best in the world. We have,
I know, our
world-renowned coaches, college bowling, national titles, all that stuff. It's unbelievable.
Go bowling nerds. I love it.
But really that purchase put me in a world where I was with people that were really similar to me, pulled me out of my shell, and I found some of my best friends. It's funny, people are like, oh yeah, we've been friends for 2 years, 3 years, and they feel really deep connections. Most of my friends, I've had friends for 20, 25, 30 years, and I'm 40.
That's awesome.
Right, so they've been lifelong friends, through that process. And that one little purchase was something that helped really
just catapult
shape my life.
Yeah, it took you down a whole different direction.
Right.
So we can geek out on some bowling real quick. What do you bowl, Ryan?
No,
I mean, you're
terrible.
athletic, so you are terrible.
Well,
I figured you'd be.
That's hard.
It is hard. There's a lot of skill.
Are we calling bowlers athletes?
Those are
such an honor to be in the presence
we weren't
of
supposed to have
amazing
any
athletes.
drama or any cursing.
Shout out to all my bowlers. I know a lot of Chris's friends.
We're going to have to bleep this out. Okay, so with my son's been in bowling since 6th grade. He's a junior.
Nice.
So I've learned a ton. I was like, bowling's going to be great. Like a non-expensive sport. I was wrong. Bowling shoes are expensive. Bowling balls are expensive. Everything's expensive. The oil patterns, all the names, the number of, it's boards and it's just mind-boggling, the amount of physics and science and everything that goes into bowling. How many 300 games have you bowled? Actually,
Ryan can answer that too.
I know how many.
How many?
I believe it's 29.
That's correct.
What do I win?
Wow, you get to go. You get free bowling lessons. That's what you get.
He's given me those for years anyway, and I'm still terrible.
It doesn't do any good.
He's better with his offhand at bowling than I am with my onhand.
Yeah, that's okay. I play someone in pickleball, and they play left-handed, and I still don't win when I play right.
That's how it is to bowl with Chris.
I feel you. Yes, but I'm even worse at bowling. What's your favorite place to go bowl in Wichita?
In Wichita, I mean, to go bowl, I'll bowl anywhere, but
Okay.
I don't bowl as much anymore. But North Rock is definitely like the true
It's the OG.
event venue. The professional tour's coming back in February, which I'm
been
really
there.
excited about.
Oh, it's so nerdy. I even got one of the high chairs, like, the little like chairs, the bag chairs, but the one that's high. So
you
I
can actually see. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, it's great. I actually I started coaching again at Mace High School here a couple of years ago.
Oh,
So-
wait a minute. I need you to, you can't beat Trinity though. I'm going to need you to go coach at Trinity on the down low and help Trinity win.
Your coaches are great though. Dalen's a coach, right?
Yes, Dalen. Yep, he's the coach.
So speaking of people I've known for 25 years, bowling junior tournaments against him.
Yeah.
Dalen's a great coach, good guy.
And what I've found similar in the auction industry, in the bowling industry or bowling community, it's just really good humans.
Yes,
They're just really good humans. I
Yeah.
can't say that for a lot of industries. Maybe not. Well, I won't go further, but definitely in the bowling industry, in the community, they're just really just genuine, kind, just good people. So I could see that you've got friends from decades now.
Yeah, it's the best. And when you bowl in a league, it's interesting how many people I've had come to me and call me for my professional services that I didn't bowl on their team. I just bowled against them week in, week out.
Yeah.
For
But you're
10
kind,
years.
respectful.
And, and everybody knows everybody. And they're like, hey, will you help me do this?
I love that.
You seem all right. I've never hung out with this person in my life
You need
except at the bowling alley every Wednesday night or whatever,
This is marketing 101 right here. I need you next time you go bowling to have a QR code on the back of your shirt that takes them to your Realtor page as you're coaching and bowling.
Genius.
Nailed it. I love it. And you can put another QR code for like you need some tax help because everyone basically needs tax help.
Yes.
Okay, so real quick, I think we've got a couple of minutes left for some fun questions. I always like to end with some speed round, and this is illuminating into who you guys are. Would you rather be covered in fur or scales?
Fur. Scales.
Wow. Okay, now because hardly anyone ever says scales.
Yeah.
But what would you be? What
I'm
cold-blooded
hot
animal?
all the time. I do not need to be covered in fur.
I didn't think of it that way.
My wife
I may change my
watches
answer.
this. She will tell you that I am just a walking furnace.
Okay.
If you bump into me, I'm hot all the time.
So that means you can't cuddle with the dobies because the dobies always have to be touching
you.
you.
No, they don't pick me to cuddle with.
Yeah, they don't
and
pick
I'm
you.
insufferable in the summers because I just complain about the heat.
It's awful.
So you're
Lizard
loving
would be
it
more
right
adapted to
Lizard, okay.
would be more adapted to the heat than a polar bear.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
I just thought doggies and like who doesn't love to pet a dog and
I
like
know.
Oh,
it's
sure.
got to feel really good. So why wouldn't you want
But
fur?
you gotta
then?
live in your
That's
skin, right? So
Yes.
True.
I don't know that I'd be interested in being
Hot all the time.
covered in
Unless you lived farther
unexposed
north.
to the breeze.
Yes.
That would sound terrible to me.
That's funny. Okay. Would you rather be in jail for a year or lose a year of your life?
I'd lose a year of my life.
Oh, okay.
Is that the same thing?
I mean, it is
I mean,
essentially the same thing.
It could be the same thing.
I would rather you lose a year of my life as well
Okay.
if I had to pick.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to jail because I would be in really good shape. I would read a ton of books. I would educate the heck out of myself. I mean, once you got past major depression, I would think. But yeah, you never know. Not that I'm
What
gonna
about the
make some
trauma that
lifelong
follows from that
friends.
experience potentially?
I don't know. We're not getting into those questions, right?
Okay.
I don't want to be Samir
We
in
just
Office
got to
Space.
answer.
That's true. Would you rather spend the rest of your life on a sailboat as your home or an RV in your home as your home?
An RV.
RV.
I'd never
Every day.
make it.
You never make
I've
it.
been
as a-
deep sea fishing one time. We were supposed to be gone for 4.5 hours. We were gone for 45 minutes.
Were you
'cause
feeding the fish?
I was the chum.
You're
You know what? I was actually thinking about my wife. She cannot handle motion sickness, so
Okay.
I would be alone
but
if
I
I
think
was on
that
a
you
boat.
would adapt eventually.
I'm a pretty hard stomach about that stuff. I would be fine. I don't know that she would. I
Yeah.
don't think she would ever even consider that.
That's okay.
Plus, we're mountain people.
Yeah.
Again, alluding
Yes.
back to the hot versus cold. I would
Yes.
rather be in the mountains in an RV than on a boat in
Yeah,
the
and in
middle
the
of the
tropics.
hot
I'm on a
ocean.
boat.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, you could use some good movies there. Would you rather move to a new city or town every week or never be able to leave Wichita?
Like when you say that, never leave, like we can travel away from Wichita, but you always live in Wichita?
You know, you guys are getting really specific with these questions.
I'll say live here because I don't want to. I need the continuity.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
yeah. The
I
stability.
love traveling, but you can do that through like
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can scroll on Instagram too.
music and food and
See?
movies and
Yes.
things like that. To
Well, I was going to
experience
say
other
the
cultures.
same.
Yeah.
Stay here.
But still be able to travel instead of being a nomad or
Yeah. this city's pretty awesome.
This
It
is,
is
it is,
pretty
and it's getting
legit.
better and better.
Shout out
It
ICT.
truly is.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
true.
like there's been a huge shift.
Huge.
Sorry to get on a soapbox for a
No,
second,
that's
but
great.
there's been a huge shift over the last 20 years. Since when I graduated high school, I felt like everybody wanted to leave.
That's right. We did.
And I feel like there's a huge shift that people want to be here, want to reinvest, and there's been a lot of growth in Wichita
Yes.
in a positive way.
So many businesses, so many
100%
things
agree.
to do. I mean, our teenagers now have so many options, whereas we just had field parties and parties when mom and dad weren't at the house. Like, and there was nothing to do.
Let's go to the 7-Eleven at 21st and Mays because that's all that was there.
Cape and Coastal was ours. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that's
Well, and this would be a nice tie-in to real estate, but I think the cost of living here is finally catching up to the point that it overrides any desires to go elsewhere because people know it's not really going to be better. You go to a big city. You know, we grew up thinking, oh, we've got to get out of Wichita because it's boring and it's mundane. But the cost of living is very appealing given the times that we're in.
yes.
And I think more people are recognizing that. And then why not put down roots here? And the more people that commit to doing that, bring in these cool businesses. I mean, look at what's happening along Douglas here.
Yes.
I mean, it's a really cool strip of road, and it's like 4 or 5 miles from one end to the other of this section of Wichita that there's just, every time you drive by, there's something new.
A new business. Yeah,
The
something to
entrepreneurial
explore.
spirit is here, I think.
Yeah.
And it's affordable still. I mean, what are you going to do? Go live in San Diego and pay the real estate prices out
It's
there, or
insane.
Houston, or Miami, places that might appeal to people, but
Yes.
as soon as you get there and you realize the pay's not any better and you got to pay a lot more for everything, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is.
so
It's
appealing.
insane. Yeah, the 1,500 square foot house in San Diego is 1.1 million, and you get a mansion in the Flint Hills for
Oh.
1.1 million. It's
Very
there's-
much.
It's
Very much.
There's no comparison. Okay, well, I think that's about it. It's so much fun to visit with you guys, and I appreciate your support and your participation. So thank you, Ryan, with Ryan Phelps
Thank you.
Tax and Financial, and Chris Greene with Keller Williams Signature Partners.
Thanks for having us.
And that's a wrap on Wichita Real Producers Beyond the Pages podcast. Thanks, guys.
See ya.